Just letting everyone know that now we have started recording. Thank you for your time. Go ahead.
But please let me know if the Wi-Fi gets wonky, and then I'll try to turn it off and do a little bit better. I just want to say how wonderful it is to hear all these introductions. And the number of 9th and 10th grade parents is really great. And the challenge that we're having, of course, is that Lincoln is new for all 9th graders naturally, but also for many of the 10th graders who only had remote lessons. And as a result, the opening has just been a little more hectic, than usual. There are more people wondering, where room 109 is and where room 141 is, things like that. But we have had a wonderful opening. A lot of the programming glitches that always happen, they always happen in Rogers High School. Programming is incredibly easy as long as everyone is doing pretty much the same thing. But even in 9th grade, you have students who already took algebra in the 8th grade, and they will be in geometry, unlike the other students. You have students who already took living environment in the 8th grade. They will move on to chemistry or earth science. So even in the 9th grade, programming is challenging. And then as our students advance, as they decide to go into different areas, different specialized programs, as perhaps they fail or get an NX in a class, the programming becomes a little bit more problematic. About the programming, first of all, I want to say that it's great having everyone back. Our top priority is safety. Safety on many levels. Number one, safety from the coronavirus as much as possible. Number two, we're very, very proud of Lincoln's record with physical safety, with the students being respectful to one another. And Mr. Robinson and Mr. O'Connor, who will be on this meeting later, can speak to that. The number of social workers that we have at Lincoln to help our students feel emotionally safe is really, really important. And so there's physical safety, there's emotional safety, there's safety from coronavirus. Only when people feel safe, only when people feel valued, can they learn. Whenever we're stressed out, we have a very hard time learning. Then to jump to another topic, whenever people are hungry, they have a very hard time learning, concentrating on anything. We have programmed most of our students for lunch at the end of the day. However, programming is always difficult. Some students are programmed for lunch during the day. However, I want to reassure every one of you that anytime a student is hungry, he or she can go to the main lobby and grab one of our grab and go lunches, and they can eat in the classroom. Well, we ask the teachers to put them in a corner for safety with coronavirus, but we don't want anyone to go hungry because we're trying to keep our lunchroom less crowded than it traditionally is, just to protect everyone from spreading the virus. In addition, everyone is welcome to have a hot breakfast when they come in the morning. They come in a bit early, they go right to the cafeteria, and they can have a really nice hot breakfast. Academics are incredibly important at Lincoln. We are incredibly proud of the way our teachers have students moving around the classroom, have put students in different groups, have students working with each other. We have a saying, learning is done by the learner. We don't want a teacher standing in front of the class talking about some item. That teacher already graduated from high school. That teacher graduated from college. I'm interested in the students doing the work. Now, for safety reasons, we're doing a little bit less moving around in the classroom, but students are often still seated in groups of 4. We've given every teacher a tape measure, and we really do take the 3-foot rule seriously. We do that whenever possible. In the halls, during passing, AP O'Connor's done a wonderful job putting signage up in the school. So we have people walking on either side of the corridor. We have specific upstairs cases, specific downstairs cases. Now, way back in the day, that used to be the norm in New York City high schools. But, you know, around the same time, everyone got really rebellious in the 60s and the 70s. People decided that there's no need for that. Obviously, in terms of student safety, now there is a need, and we are following that diligently at Lincoln. I want to say one more word about Lincoln, especially for some parents who, you know, perhaps the son or daughter went to a relatively small middle school. You can always reach me, and I urge people when they have a concern to reach me. But there's usually someone else, because we're a large school, who is better equipped to handle your problem. And I'm usually the person of last resort. So if there's a programming problem, you're always best off checking with your child's guidance counselor or Mr. Robinson. If there is a scheduling problem, you're often better off checking with Mr. Robinson. If there's a concern about the coronavirus, you're always better off checking with Mr. O'Connor. However, that does not mean you don't phone my office, check with my office. My office number, 718-333-7474. And I think Mrs. Attwood just put my email in the chat. So please, you have a concern, you have a problem, let me know, and we will solve whatever your concern or your problem is. I am not going to talk too much more about social emotional because Mr. Robinson is on the line, and he can, you know, he can talk the whole meeting because what he does is just amazing. It's wonderful. And I'm not going to talk too much about the situations when let's say you find out your son or your daughter was a close contact and what exactly is supposed to happen there, because Mr. O'Connor has been on the phone for hours with the situation room that the Department of Education has set up. He has designed systems so we can quickly figure out who the students, who are the close contacts are, and let them know. And so he will talk about that a little bit later on in this meeting. Right now, I think he's just finished up football practice. Mrs. Brown perhaps can speak to that since his son's on the team. But he has promised to join this meeting a little bit later. And so now, if it's okay with you know, Mrs. Scott, it's your meeting. It's a PTA meeting. I'd love to take any questions that that parents might have, and just thank you for all being on this. When we work together, parents are better informed, and our students, your children, do better in school. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for the principal? Now would be the time, because then he'll drop off and we'll continue with the rest of the meeting. You can either raise your hand, put it in chat, or just ask the question.
Hey, Scott, there's a question in the chat.
Please go right ahead.
Can someone clarify what the rule is for water bottles?
I'm going to ask Mr. O'Connor to specify, but my understanding is that we let water bottles in if they are sealed, and but I want to clarify that for sure. You know, almost every rule is the result of someone doing something wrong, and that's because of years ago. You know, someone bringing in vodka, and someone else bringing in some kind of acid in a water bottle. But let's ask Mr. O'Connor to clarify, because a lot of these rules have changed with the pandemic.
Another question, Mr. Hoogenboom, from a parent. My daughter asked for food last week and was advised that she cannot eat in the classroom. Has this been recently changed?
Yes, it hasn't been recently changed, but perhaps we haven't been as clear as we should be, making sure that all teachers understand that. If I can be told his daughter's name, and I can look up her schedule and just make sure that every teacher is informed that we do want our students to be able to eat in their class.
Okay, before you put out any information to the rest of the group, we will follow up with you privately and share
Yes,
it with
please,
Mr. Hoogenboom.
I'm going to private message the person and get their email address privately, and we'll pass it on to Mr. Hoogenboom. So you don't have to share your email address with everyone.
Thank you. It's just for privacy. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I believe that is it. Okay, yes, I believe that is it. If no one has any questions, I want to thank Mr. Hoogenboom. I'll give everyone just 30 more seconds. I mean, he will have the rest of his staff between Mr. Robinson and Mr. Capizzo, who will stay on for the end of the meeting. So if you don't have any questions for him, they will definitely be able to answer them. And then, of course, Mr. O'Connor should be on shortly. I believe he said closer to 7.
And I want to urge everyone, if you do have questions and you pass them on to Mrs. Scott, Mrs. Brown, or Mrs. Attwood, they will make sure that they do get to me.
Okay, thank you so much for coming back on. You have a good night and be safe.
Okay, well, with all your talk about, with all our talk about eating, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down and eat. So have a wonderful evening, everyone.
You too.
Thank you. Just real quick, we're just going to go and backtrack for one quick moment to discuss the minutes from June, and then I will have Mr. Robinson and Ms. Fontana discuss their portion. Mr. Jones, would you like to take this part?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Yes, all right. The minutes for 6/10/21 at our last meeting in June. Mr. Hoogenboom talked about the importance of people being back in the building, teachers and the students. Also, we talked about kids learning online and what they could do on Microsoft Teams. Can you change the slide, Ms. Scott? Also, he talked about getting the NX grades together for the students. And also last year there was only 4 regions that were being taken. Every other regions was waived, and all the kids had to pass the class to get credit for the regions. And the regions that were waived were Algebra 2, Geometry, Chemistry, Physics, Global History, and Geography, United States History, and Government. Thank you. Also, was discussed on graduation, the senior barbecue. We also had conversations about pandemic EBT. And also one important thing, also the cheddar up for the PTA dues. There's a link right here on right between right under the treasurer's report. You could go there. You could donate money to the PTA. And also, can you change one more time, please? No. Thank you, Ms. Scott.
Yep, that's the last of it.
Yeah, okay. Also,
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate that time. If you want to review these even further, again, this is from June's meeting, so most of this is not, it was relevant for that time. But you can find June's meeting as well as previous meeting minutes in the Abraham Lincoln website under PTA. If no one has any questions, I would like to have someone motion to accept these minutes.
I would like to motion to accept the minutes. This is Mrs. Attwood.
This is
Can
Maggie
someone
Sandor.
second me?
Maggie Sandor, I second that motion.
Thank you. All right, with that said, we are accepting the June minutes, but of course you can review them, and if you have any issues or concerns, you can bring it up with the PTA, Abraham Lincoln High School PTA. Thank you. Moving on. Okay, Mr. Robinson and Ms. Fontana, if you haven't introduced yourselves, when you do speak, please introduce yourself and have at it. Let me know if you need to share the screen.
Okay, I'll start. Thank you very much. It's good to see so many parents, and we have had a great opening. I just wanted to share two social emotional learning initiatives that are new this year that Mr. Hoogenboom alluded to. I'll just give you a little bit more details, because if your child's at Lincoln, you should know that your child is cared for not just academically, but also social emotionally. And the first initiative is a new social emotional curriculum that's being pushed into the content areas. So each week, different content area will take one day to infuse social emotional learning activities into their lesson. So the first week of school was social studies. This week it's math. Next week it'll be science department. And the month of September is really just focused on building community and community building games. So some of the activities were an activity called Stand Up and Applaud, where students are asked, stand up if you speak a different language, stand up if you play an instrument, stand up if you went to a picnic this summer. Two truths and a lie, just different games that help build community and relationships among students and teachers. The curriculum starts with community building, and then as the year goes on, it progresses into more of a social emotional skill based curriculum where we go over things like listening and conflict and mental health. I give a shout out to Ms. Scott and Ms. Brown, who are part of the Restorative Justice Action team that met weekly to frame this curriculum and put it together so that we would be ready for this year, knowing that all students were coming back. It was a really great collaborative effort with parents, students, social workers, teachers to put it together. And then the second initiative is the Lincoln Somebody. So we've have a saying at Lincoln, everybody has a somebody, and we put structures in place that every student has at least three somebodies. They have three people they can go to, a guidance counselor, social worker attached to the grade team, and some kind of teacher leader that we put in place. And this year we've changed the teacher leader role a little bit to include a specific Lincoln Somebody. And these Lincoln Somebodies are teachers, social workers, counselors who have a small cohort of 150 to 200 students, and they're attached to the specialized programs. So they push into the specialized programs and run circles, social emotional lesson. They'll be doing mental health screening. And they establish a relationship with students so that if there are any issues that come up, they'll be there for that student. The goal is to raise every student up to meet their goals and to be there in case there's any setbacks. We also have an incredible mental health team of 5 social workers, counselors, and we partner with NYU, which have their own mental health, behavioral health team. So we make it a point after this to make sure every student's cared for in that regard. I also just want to lead into the intro for Miss Fontana. She's going to be talking about the tech piece of things. As one piece of that is the New York City schools account. If anybody does not have a New York City schools account, I urge you to log in and to fill out the form. I'm going to post the form here. You need a letter from the school so that you can get your access code to connect yourself to your student. If you had a schools account in middle school, that should have came up with you. It should already be updated. You should be able to use that. But in a New York City schools account, you can see your child's program. You can see their report card when it comes out. If they're 11th and 12th grader, you can see their transcript. You can sign up for the, you can opt into the testing, to COVID testing, and you can change your student's password for their school's account, which is something Ms. Fontana is going to talk about. So the only way to get access to New York City schools account, if you don't have one, is to ask us for the letter through the form, and I'll get that out to you. And I'll pass it off to Ms. Fontana.
Mr. Robinson, just so you know, I copy pasted from the 3 p.m. meeting about filling out the form here, and I have it in the portal. So if that's not correct, please let me know.
Ms. Scott, you're awesome. Thank you.
And then also, once you receive the registration code, just in case, I also posted the link to the school's account.
Great. And I'm going to put my email in the chat too. If anybody has any issues, like Principal Hoogenboom said, please feel free to reach out.
Sorry. Okay, so I'm just going to go over your New York City schools account. Once you receive that information, you can actually reset your child's password on your own. This has been one of our biggest pain points, is we're getting about 100 tickets a day from students that are requesting password changes. If you don't set up, if your child does not set up their own personal PIN, they cannot change their password on their own. The tickets are coming in. We're trying to get to them at the same day. Anything that was put in before 2 o'clock today was answered today. But it is on a rotating basis, and we are getting to things as quickly as we possibly can, but there is, a delay in receiving a response. It's not an instantaneous thing. So if your kid is sitting there at 11 o'clock at night and needs to hand something in and forgot their password, it's a nice trick to have up your sleeve to just be able to do it on your own. So you'll see here, it's just schools account at NYC. If you just Google New York City schools account, it's the very first thing that pops up. I never remember the link myself. When you go here, you just click sign in. When you're creating
Hold on. Is everybody seeing her screen?
No.
Okay, let me stop
No, maybe she
sharing.
needs to be made co-host.
Right, let me stop sharing. Give me 1 second. There you go.
Okay, does everybody see it now?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry about that.
no problem. Here we are, right? New York City schools account. And here's the link here. When you go to create your account, you would hit this and you would need the registration code for Mr. Robinson. But once you are ready to sign in, it brings you here. Okay, once you're in here, right, there's a lot of different things that you can do, right? This is for reporting bullying. If you don't report it to the school, under here, under my student, this is what Mr. Robinson was talking about before, about finding the program, the report card. There's information here on IEPs and transportation. Your card is in here as well. Eventually, they're going to push all parent forms and anything that you need as a parent into this portal so that you'll be able to log into one place and have access to everything. From your dashboard here, okay, there it is. right? You can just go straight into settings. And in settings, there's something for student password. And right here, under student password, you just select your child's, right? This is my daughter. And then you just type in your new password, you retype it, and then you click save. So it's really easy. You just log into the account, go to your settings, student password, and you can change the password from there without having to wait for us to answer it from the school. So before I move forward, are there any questions about this?
Nothing heard?
Okay.
I have a question.
Oh, hold on. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, if my child's coming from a public school for junior high school, I don't have to create a new one. It's just his old one that's coming over to high school.
Right. So if the student already has is already using their email address at newyorkcitystudents.net, then that account will carry with them from K to 12. We have a lot of ninth graders that were still on their school's tenant, which means that they were using like an email address that was tied only to the school. So it might be something like at is221, right? .com or something. Those accounts do not attach to our DOE account. So if you were already using a central DOE email and password, then you are perfectly fine. If you are using an old one, then you will need to move over to the central email.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that. I don't think we mentioned that at 3 o'clock. We just said that it was be transferred. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you clarified that.
Yes, that was one of the things with the ninth graders was they all came in with their middle school emails and then had never ever heard of the central DOE emails before. They also, the ones that came in with their DOE central emails were very confused about why they would be able to use the same email to log into Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams. So there's been a lot of confusion with our ninth graders. Okay, so if there's no more questions about the passwords, I'm going to share through our website. You can request tech help. We have what's called a ticket system. This goes to a team of people that can help you resolve your tech issues. Under students, there's something called Student Tech Help Desk. And right here, right at the top, is where you can request help, right? Tech help request form. So you can use this form to fill out if you need any help with your DOE iPad, if you have an Abraham Lincoln High School laptop, if you are having any issues with your login, if you're having issues with Teams, if you have a question about how to use a program, any kind of like tech issues, we can help handle. There's also information at the top of this form here, that if you're having problems with your attendance, who to reach out to, and if you're having problems with pupil path, that you can reach out to Mr. Green. Right, these things get handled in different offices. Okay, also on this page, there's some information about setting up your New York City account, working with your iPad, and then there's tons of information here in tutorials for Microsoft Teams. So if you have a specific question, it's usually answered here. There's even a ton of videos that were created by our teachers to deal with common issues that students were having. So it's a great place to go if you're having an issue to just kind of like stop in and see if somebody's already answered your question before asking for additional help. Parents are more than welcome to put in tickets. We get parent tickets all the time. If it's something that we can't handle, we will send it out to the appropriate people. Again, we get tons of requests about pupil path, which we just get forwarded over to Mr. Green, and then Mr. Green reaches out to students. And then that's it for the tech help desk. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Fontana. Yes, there are a couple questions. One parent wants to know, she has a question. Can she have the information in Spanish? Is that something?
Right here on the top here, there's a Google Translator. So this, and then you can just go ahead and It's really down there. Okay. And then everything's translated for Spanish.
And to be clear, this is at the top of the Abraham Lincoln High School website.
Right, so right
Like
here.
on the top left, right?
Okay, so right here on the top, under students, right on, and directly under it, we put it right the first thing so that students see it. Right here, student tech help desk. Again, this is probably where the most traffic on our website goes, is to the tech help desk. There is one set up for parents, right? But it basically links to all the same stuff. And there's probably more information on the student side. So I would always recommend just going to the students' tech help desk.
But every page on the website, you can select the language and get any language that's spoken at Abraham Lincoln High School.
So I know this was one of the problems that was brought up last year, was that the Google Translate tool was removed from our school website, and that was done by the provider. We found it to be such an egregious issue that we actually switched providers at the end of the school year in order to provide that tool for our parents.
Thank you, Ms. Fontana. This is wonderful. There's another question, and I'm not sure if you're the right person, but it says, do the kids need to carry their DOE devices to school for anything?
So most teachers are asking students to bring their devices back to school. The central is planning on going one-to-one across all of New York City, which means that every single New York City student will be supplied with a device. We have requested devices and are awaiting the delivery. Once that happens, once every kid has a device, then the kids will be absolutely required to bring them back and forth, as they will be using them in the classroom. We have found so many useful and meaningful tools in this kind of environment that we're really excited to use with our students, especially tools that require collaboration in a way in which maybe it's not. Some students don't feel safe. Students being on top of each other is not necessarily the best protocol during COVID. So it gives our students a way to really collaborate in a virtual environment, even within the classroom. Also, the amount of tools and resources that are available to our kids online, it would be a giant step back to not require the devices in the classroom.
There's another question. Do we need to request a device if we don't have one?
So there is no form for requesting a device as of this moment, because we do not have devices to give. We do have a list of every student, including incoming ninth grade students, and what they have received from Central. So we have a list of every student that has a device and every student that does not have a device. So all of the students that do not have a device have already been identified. There are approximately 970 students in the building that do not have a Central provided device. So once we do receive a delivery, we will start distribution to all of those students as soon as possible.
There's a follow-up question. By devices, do you mean an iPad or a laptop?
It will be an iPad or a laptop.
Thank you. There's a question that's also peripheral to devices. Will kids be allowed to use lockers once they have to bring devices?
There are no lockers.
So the devices need to be on their person during the school day, and then brought home and then brought back in the morning.
They will be using them in their classrooms, right? So they would need them in the classroom. We also do not have personal student lockers, so that's not an option.
Thank you. There are some other questions, but they're not really for Ms. Fontana, so I'm going to hold them back until we have the right person talking.
Okay, so
Ms. Medina has her hand up.
Sorry.
If you could
just
have her
sit
ask
down.
the question.
It was answered already. It was about, I was the one that asked about the iPad or the laptop. I just took my hand down.
Right. So we will just to clarify that as well, we will also be prioritizing students that are in computer science and virtual enterprise for laptops, because the curriculum for computer science does not work properly on an iPad, as well as the curriculum for virtual enterprise, where students are learning Microsoft Office skills. So we will be trying to get students the proper device. Also, the students that received iPads that don't have the wireless keyboards, we're going to try to swap those out as much as possible. So this way, the students will have something that they can actually type on instead of having to like type on the screen. We're also looking into secure at least 200 laptops from our own budget at this point.
Okay, if there is no more questions for Ms. Fontana in reference to technology, I would like Ms. Fontana to introduce herself again.
Oh, okay.
You have so much to do at the school. I would really like for everyone to understand the importance.
Okay. I started at Lincoln in 2006 as a teacher. I worked as a teacher there from 2006 until 2015. In 2015, I became assistant principal of the math department. So I supervised the math department as well as the IT department. Under the math department, I also supervise a few of the specialized programs in the building, including virtual enterprise, digital media, internship, and I created our computer science program. And before I sign off, I would just like to also share the flyer that Ms. Scott has on the screen. One of the things that we have noticed is that our students need further support for digital literacy outside of the classroom. So we are starting to provide workshops for students during period 9 and after school from 3:30 to 4:15 once a month, working on some kind of digital literacy skill. We did start running these workshops throughout COVID, quarantine, and hybrid learning. We started them late in the spring in 2020 and continued them all through last school year. And we provided opportunities for student once a month. So please tell your students to join us. Next Thursday, we'll be providing 2 separate workshops, one focused on teams and pupil path. This one is geared specifically towards 9th graders who need that extra support, just kind of getting started. And then there's another workshop on our learning platforms that we're offering within the building. And that's mostly for older, for students 10 through 12 that already have a pretty good handle on teams and pupil path.
Okay, Ms. Fontana, thank you so much for your time and for coming on for both sessions. I appreciate it. And I heard that some parents did have an interest on attending some parent workshops for technology. So we'll send out a poll and see if we can coordinate with you in a few months.
Sure.
Oh, wait, I think something just came in. Nope, they were just saying thank you. So again, thank you so much.
It was nice to see everyone. Have a good night.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So I took a bite of yogurt.
Okay, now we're going to have Mr. O'Connor. I saw he snuck in. Thank you very much, Mr. O'Connor. I know you're very busy. There are a ton of safety questions, so I don't know if you want to have someone ask them first, or do you want to go and see if you'll answer them through your presentation?
Okay, good evening. You hear me, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. Everybody, I just want to introduce myself first and then discuss. I wanted to talk about the new quarantine procedures that will be beginning on Monday. Then I want to discuss about COVID testing and the vaccine portal that's available along with the health screening. And then I can answer any questions that you may have. Okay. How you doing? My name is Shawn O'Connor. I'm the assistant principal in charge of safety security. I'm also assistant principal in charge of health and physical education. Sorry I'm late. I also coach on the side football, so I'm just getting off the field myself. We have our first home opener tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Hopefully we get a big turnout from as many fans and parents and students as possible. So I just want to start off with discussing the quarantine policy and procedures that we have to follow from the New York City Department of Education, and which is based off of CDC guidelines. So as of Monday, this Monday, the 27th, if there's any reported positive case in a classroom, whether it be staff or student, the only people that will be quarantining moving forward will be anyone who was less than 3 feet or not wearing a mask. So anybody wearing a mask and 3 feet will not have to quarantine anymore, whether vaccinated or unvaccinated. So our classrooms are all set up where students are 3 feet or more, and our teachers are doing, and staff are doing a tremendous job of making sure students do leave their mask on and are not taking them off as well. And we did a survey, we walked around the building. Our students are doing an excellent job. Of course, we're always going to do better. We have some incentives coming down the road for students with the mask and mask breaks that are allowed at certain times as well. So that's on the quarantine. The process as far as what happens when Lincoln High School is going to happen is anytime a student self-reports, then we call what's called the situation room. The situation room is connected to track and trace. They will get in contact with the parents or anyone who is a close contact. So if you were not received a phone call from track and trace or a phone message from Lincoln High School or a letter, you're not considered a close contact. A lot of people get confused with a double contact. For example, my son was in a class. My son is a friend with somebody who's a close contact. That doesn't mean that you have to or had to quarantine. Okay, based off of the old procedures, that would be considered double contact. Any student that is fully vaccinated, this is off the old regime, which will end tomorrow, that was involved in a close contact, did not need to quarantine if they're fully vaccinated with no symptoms. They would have needed to upload their card on the DOE vaccine portal for students. All right, we have that hanging up all over the school. I'm going to send it to Ms. Scott after this tomorrow, where you can upload your vaccine portal if your son or daughter is fully vaccinated. And along with that, Ms. Baumfeld is going to be having teachers in English. We're going to take some time out next week to show students on how they can upload it from to use the portal, as well as the health screening on the phone. As far as COVID testing goes, we actually had a testing today. Their school will be getting tested weekly, not bi-weekly anymore. We were tested last week. We were tested this week. They're going to come once a week. They pulled 10% of the consented students. Okay, 10% random selection of 10 students get selected to get tested once a week. And I think that's kind of it. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more questions. I don't know if I helped answer things. Do understand we do follow CDC guidelines, and we're doing our best. And it does change, as a lot of staff and parents know, daily. So I'm ready to answer some questions, Ms. Scott. Ms. Attwood, I know she does I see Ms. Brown. Hi, Ms. Brown.
Hi, Mr. O'Connor.
Just real quick before we go to questions, Mr. O'Connor mentioned about the testing results. He also mentioned about the vaccination portal. Both Ms. Sandor and I posted about the vaccination portal, which is not mandatory, but highly suggested, especially for those who are in high-risk sports, to ensure that their vaccination information is posted in the site. And then the DOE testing results. Do you want to explain that portal, or would you like me to?
Well, it's not a portal. What it does is when you fill out the consent form for the testing, you'll put your information.
No. This is the testing results, which annotates how many teachers tested, how many students tested, I guess I'll continue on then. This particular portal, the DOE New York City testing results, provides the days that the school was posted for testing, COVID-19 testing. it gives out a breakdown of how many students, how many teachers, and of those, how many actually had positive results.
Yes, that's all on the DOE website. Couldn't have said it, but good job, Ms. Scott.
Thank you. And I have to say before Ms. Attwood goes on with the questions, I have been constantly watching this site every time I know that the school has been tested. And I can say even from last year, I want to say there was only one positive, maybe every other testing. And it continues to go this week, this time, I think, what you've had 2 tests so far, and each one only popped with 1, not including the self, those that stated that they did have it. But testing wise, I believe each test was only 1 person came up positive each time. Is that correct?
Yeah, we had only 1 from the testing so far. Hopefully,
Okay. Which
hopefully it
if you
stays that way.
which if you want to compare to other schools, that is pretty good for the Brooklyn area. You would go in,
Absolutely.
you would go into the testing results schools, look up the borough, look up whatever school that you want to. And I did constant tracing back and forth with various schools. And Abraham Lincoln was the lowest of a majority of Brooklyn schools. So Mr. O'Connor, thank you. Congratulations on keeping our schools safe. I know it's not perfect and nothing is perfect in this world, but I know that you and your staff try very, very hard to ensure the safety of everyone in that building. And I appreciate that.
Yes, we have a lot of strict protocol that I really didn't get into. I know Ms. Scott has it, the opening plan on how we have one-way staircases and hallways and signage. She can definitely share that along with the rest of the parents if they like.
Mhm. Thank you. Questions, please. I'm sorry, Ms. Atwood. I get all crazy about that testing
No,
results.
that's good.
I think it's a
very
beautiful
good.
website.
It's a great site. It's very informative. So the first question for you, Mr. O'Connor, is from a parent who said that my daughter was told different things about bringing a water bottle to school. First, no metal bottle. So she brought a plastic bottle. And then she was told you can only bring an empty bottle, but she does not know where she can fill her bottles for drinking throughout the day. So I would like some clarification.
Yes, she's allowed to bring an empty bottle and can fill it in. We have a cold water filtered water station in the cafeteria, in the gymnasiums, and in the hallway. So she is allowed to bring an empty water bottle. It can be metal as well. That was, if she was told that, she was given the wrong information, but she certainly can. That she could, any student is allowed to bring any sealed liquid into the building, but due that we're a scanning school, we're not able to, school safety's been told with their rules that no open liquid bottles are allowed in the building.
So it's either sealed or empty.
Sealed or empty, correct.
And metal or plastic is okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you. I hope that answered the question to this parent. And when I read the questions, if you have follow-up questions, just put them in the chat and I will, we'll do a follow-up if it's needed.
But only the safety questions. If it's any
Yeah,
other
safety
questions, we'll
for
hold
now.
it towards the end.
Exactly. I will only ask safety questions to Mr. O'Connor. So, if you have questions, I mean, if something pops up, by all means, put it in the chat and then we'll reserve it to when it's appropriate. Second question, my child was sent home to quarantine, but was not in school during the exposure period. How do I get this sorted out so she can return to school?
Well, any student that was quarantined was because they were in school. They would not be quarantined if they weren't. We check the teacher's attendance sheets along with the CAS machine, and it could be more than one day. So when there's a case, it may not only be based off of one day. Sometimes the track and trace people and the situation room goes back further than the day the student or staff member, whoever was positive, was in the classroom. It's not only just based off of one day. It could be back for 3 days attendance. So, we cross-reference through the teacher's attendance records and the CAS machine when a student either swipes in or the bubble sheets from the teacher. Now, if the teacher would have incorrectly put the attendance in there, that's obviously something I could type my, let me type my phone number in the chat so they can give me a call. I could look up for whoever that person that asked that question and double check for them. I will do that after the questions. Okay, I'll put my my phone number.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Let's see, another question. I know you said there would be a game tomorrow, the first home game.
Yes.
Do fans have to be vaccinated in order to watch the game?
No, fans don't need to be vaccinated because it'll be outdoor venue and they'll be spread out more than 3 feet. We have one of the biggest bleachers in the city where fans get spread out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's a question, why isn't everyone mandated to consent to testing since everyone can spread the virus if they get it?
That's a great question. That's not a Lincoln rule. That's a New York City Department of Education rule at the moment. So we're just following what the DOE, New York City, has put up in the guidelines. That's a question. That's a question that would probably go a little higher up. At this moment.
That's really a question for the mayor, right?
Yes, it's a question for Mayor de Blasio.
All right. Another question, is it mandatory for kids wanting to play sports to be vaccinated? And if yes, do they have to be vaccinated before trying out?
Only in high-risk sports at the moment right now. Any student that wants to play moderate or low-risk sports do not need to be vaccinated. And the PSAL has categorized football, basketball, volleyball, and bowling as high risk. So if any student is going to participate in those sports, they need to be vaccinated prior to the season, except for the seasons that just started now in the fall. For example, football and volleyball, being that they made this announcement when we already started, students had to get one shot before a certain deadline, and then they had to get the second shot 24 days after their first one. But when in the winter sports such as basketball, students will have to be fully vaccinated before they can try out in basketball, for example, which is considered high risk.
Can you update us on the swim team status?
We have a girls swim team right now. They're in full swing, and they're considered moderate, so they're not a high-risk sport.
Does that mean that you can try out to swim without being vaccinated?
Yes, you can.
Right.
So once again, the only sports that you will need to be vaccinated to play in is high risk, which is football, volleyball, boys and girls volleyball, basketball, and bowling, and boys lacrosse. But we don't have boys lacrosse actually, so it wouldn't matter that.
Wonderful. And I just want to say, for any parent who has questions about quarantines or their children are quarantined and they have questions, Ms. Scott just posted Mr. O'Connor's email in the chat. But please feel free to reach out any issue about your children being in quarantine. You can just email Mr. O'Connor directly. And so we can have a look into the situation and get back to you personally about, why is your child quarantined and when that quarantine is ending and when they can come back. So I don't want you to have your children at home and not knowing why or when they can come back. Like, do reach out. I think, I know I'm stepping a little bit, Mr. O'Connor, because you didn't say that, but you were offering your phone number. So I feel like I'm, making it a little bit easier for you. But if you have something to say about this, I know you just posted your phone number. So, it's Mr. O'Connor's number is 718-333-7452 at school. And then his email is soconno5@schools.nyc.gov. Are there any follow-up questions on sports, security, drills, masks, quarantine, any security issue that I've not mentioned? I guess that's it. Mr. O'Connor, thank you so much.
Actually, the two questions just
Oh.
popped up.
Two questions just popped up. One is, will there be a boys swim team?
Yes. That will be in the winter season, which begins from, I believe, in January.
Thank you.
Or maybe
And-
spring. I'm sorry, I might be wrong on that. I apologize. I could be wrong. I forgot when the boys swim team starts, but we will 100% have a boys swim team.
Wonderful. Can you talk a little bit about what sort of drills are held for safety?
Absolutely, sure. So with safety drills, what we do is first we do what's called an evacuation drill. And those are basically fire drill could be where the school evacuates the entire building, and those will be coming up soon. And what we do is we have a BRT team, which is a building response team, is involved running those, which is considered with teachers, school safety agents, administrators, and paraprofessional school aides, where they assist the students leaving out the building and directing them where to go. We have people that stops the traffic in Ocean Parkway where cars are not allowed to come while we do these drills, or if it's something live. All the teachers have been trained in these drills on how to handle them. There's signs posted in each classroom on what exits to go to, along with staff from the BRT in the hallways, directing them which direction to go in. Then you have what's called a soft and hard lockdown. Okay, a soft lockdown is considered where there's a threat in the building and the BRT team is allowed to move throughout the building to assist with school safety if there's some type of threat inside the building. Students and staff then will lock their doors. Okay, teachers covered up their windows with paper, which these are drills we practice. And due to COVID, if it's a drill, students are to remain seated Teachers cover up the windows, lock the doors. Any student that's in the hallway or bathroom, they get put into the closest, safest, secure classroom. A hard lockdown is where the BRT team and no one is allowed to be in the hallway, and the staff will not open their classrooms even for an announcement. See, if a soft lockdown, then there could be an announcement the soft lockdown has been lifted. In a hard lockdown, then even an announcement cannot lift a hard lockdown. And you don't do a drill for hard lockdown. That's something that's real, and no one's in the halls. Only persons that can lift that would be police, come from outside in, and they go from classroom to classroom to lift the drill if it was a hard lockdown. We don't do a drill, I'm sorry, it would be a hard lockdown. Soft lockdowns, we actually practice that and able to do drills, but if it was something real, like I said, the BRT team is able to move throughout the building. We also have what's called shelter in. Shelter in means if there's some type of threat or danger outside the building, it could be possibly a gas leak or something where students or no one can leave or enter the building. Business as usual, the bell can ring, kids can go to the bathroom, go to lunch, teachers teach, everybody's moving throughout the building, but no one's allowed to leave and shelter in. And we also practice that as a drill. What's new this year is they've added another drill, another GRP drill called hold, H-O-L-D. That's basically if there is some type of emergency in the hallway and we don't want students to, we hold the bell, teachers continue to teach, they hold students in the classroom, but they can continue, they can teach and just do normal business so that we can deal with what kind of emergency is in the hallway. For example, maybe somebody, had a medical emergency and we just don't want traffic to, to get into the way. So those are the four types of drills that we that we have. And like I said, a hard lockdown is not a drill. So we practice the three throughout the year.
All right, we can go with two more questions before we'll have Mr. O'Connor leave. And then if there's any other questions for safety, security, we'll definitely have we'll definitely follow up with Mr. O'Connor. So Ms. Attwood, if you can choose two more questions.
Yeah. So two short questions. Does the school have masks for kids who may break or lose theirs?
Yeah, we have masks at scanning. We have masks. Every teacher was provided supply in the room. Every teacher has extra masks in each classroom. So we have it at scan in the main desk. Students can get it in room 102. Students can get it in 127. We have loads of PPE and masks for all students. We've supplied them all day when students are walking in and they ask for it, or sometimes a student may go to the restroom. We see in the hall and say that, that possibly they lost a mask or so forth. But each teacher has been supplied, each classroom has been supplied with masks, and each teacher has been told and informed that they can replenish those masks anytime they need it as well.
Thank you. And then the second question is, my daughter has to quarantine until Monday.
Hold that question. I sent her a private message.
Oh,
Go
wonderful.
to Miss Meadows.
Okay. How often are classes cleaned when kids change classes?
Also, the custodial staff comes in with the high pressure steamers and cleans when everybody's out the building every night. And they wipe it down. They have the high pressure steamers that have been supplied with special chemicals that helps cleaning it. They wipe down all the doors, all the desks. So it's every night, and then every classroom has been provided with 2 air purifiers, along with hand sanitizers, wipes, disinfectant wipes, and like I said, they constantly are walking out towards the end of the day, and then in the evening when no one's at the building, that's when we have more security. Custodians going in and cleaning every classroom and steam cleaning it.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Always a pleasure to see you.
You too. You guys too.
Thank you for dropping us and coming and answering questions for parents. We really appreciate that. I know it's a long day.
No.
Coming from practice.
And let's bring home a win. Congratulations.
Go Rail Splitters. Go Rail Splitters. Let's see everybody there tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you for having me. Thank you, parents. We appreciate you. You have my email and number if you have any questions. We're always available for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on. We'll answer if there's any personal questions that were being annotated in the chat. Please forward me or Miss Attwood your email address, and we'll make sure the teacher that Mr. O'Connor answers you first thing tomorrow. And everyone else, any questions that weren't answered, we'll be following up towards the end. Okay, moving on, the Treasury report.
Okay, so.
Mr. Sandor, how are you?
Yes, I'm here. Yep. So the financial report over this is from over the summer. We had a few expenses for end of year recognition for students, which are the student awards. We did receive some dues. We had a fundraising event at the very end of the school year, and we received a very small amount of interest, 41 cents. Our ending balance right now is about $907. There are a few reimbursements left outstanding, and so that number is a little bit lower than reflected. But otherwise, as we mentioned earlier, we did let folks know that we have a Cheddar Up system for dues and for contributions to the PTA. I'm sure I can find the link for it and drop it in the chat again as well. So we are working to develop some additional fundraising, which I know we'll talk about separately. But right now, the only thing that I think is important is just to ask everyone nicely. Of course, please consider donating to your school's PTA. The money will be used for your student and for the school community. So, thank you.
Mr. Sandor, and who are you?
I'm Chris Sandor. I'm the co-treasurer with Miss Attwood, and my son Nick, as my wife mentioned earlier, is a Nick. He's in the 10th grade.
Thank you.
Sure. Questions?
If there are no questions, I would like to have someone. Oh gosh, I just went blank. I am so sorry.
I motion.
Thank you very much. I would like somebody to please place a motion for this.
This is Ms. Medina. I motion to approve the treasurer's report.
I second that motion. This is Maggie Sandor.
I I appreciate that.
Thank you. And of course, if you ever have any questions or concerns, you can email the Abraham Lincoln PTA. We try to ensure any funds that come in or go out that the parents are well aware of it. And if anything does go out, we do a vote. Secretary report.
Hi, I'm Maggie Sandor. I'm the recording secretary of the PTA. I just wanted to mention that we did gather an info packet this year with all the different parent reference, some different links, some contact information, and a parent engagement contact list from Mr. Robinson, which is also posted on the website, but it's gathered in one place and it could be a good reference. I dropped it in the chat, and we did try to email it out with the meeting invite, but I'm not sure if it came through for everybody. So it's also on the Facebook page, and I asked, I think Mr. Robinson is going to be sending that out also as a backpacked home letter sometime soon, but it has some good info if you're looking for links and contact information. In other items, Ms. Medina and I have been working on a couple of things. The PTA executive board did send out some welcome letters to both the parent community and the teacher community, just telling them about the PTA and what some of the things we accomplished last year, and telling them how to register and get on our mailing list so that they're informed about the meeting schedule as they come up. And Ms. Medina in particular is also going to be looking carefully at the school website, which, as Ms. Fontana mentioned, had been reformatted at the very end of last year. And so she's going to make sure that all the information is in a very visible spot for the PTA site, that is the section of the PTA section, in a visible spot and just and kept updated. So if you do see anything at the website that you think is, you're not sure of where to go or something like that, please you can send us an email at the PTA mailbox, and we can sort of compile all that information and eventually get it into edits to the website. Does anybody have any questions? Like, one of the things that was mentioned already about the website is it's a work in progress for the teacher contact directory, which is a critical thing for parents and guardians to make sure that they can get in contact with teachers. So I know Mr. Robinson had already mentioned he was going to work on that. So hopefully that's already in motion. Does anybody have any questions about that so far? Okay. Can we move on? The one other item that we were going to discuss is we wanted to standardize the voting or the name change. The PTA has been referred to in our letterhead and just all the documents as a lot of different stylings of our name. And while our official IRS and bank name is PTA of Lincoln High School, our actual name that we use on a letterhead, it would like to standardize it to Abraham Lincoln High School Parent Teacher Association. So that slide just shows you a little bit about all the different ways that it has been portrayed in all the different documents that we used. And we just like to have a vote on our membership to take to show all members who are in approval of this name change. To standardize the name to Abraham Lincoln High School Parent Teacher Association. It looks like, did everybody vote already?
They're slowly voting. It's 34 participants because the executive board is either a host or a co-host. So we're not able to vote on this via the poll. But if everyone can please take the time, it's a minuscule request that we ask for voting. But unfortunately, we can't make changes unless it's posted with the general PTA. So that's why this is always brought up. And that's a mandate with the DOE. So this way the general PTA knows everything that goes on. Nothing is ever transparent. So either vote yes, no, or abstain. This way we can go and get a good number of people to vote. I believe anything over 20 for yes is good. Okay, we'll count that. Thank you. And if for some reason you don't see the poll, you can also put it in the, you can put your response in the chat.
I just want to say the thunder was so loud there that the car horn is going off. If anyone.
And all teachers that are on, Mr. Capizzo, I'm not sure, is Mr. Robinson able to vote? I can't remember.
No,
No.
administration.
No,
is not a
administration,
member.
okay.
Teachers and staff below administration level are automatically members, but administration and the parent coordinator, I believe, is not eligible for membership, full membership.
Okay. With the ones that said yes, because the executive board, please keep in mind, and as well as Mr. Capizzo, we're all annotated as co-host and host. So we can't we can't physically annotate in the poll. So we've all provided our responses, plus combined with so far 19. Ms. Sandor, Ms. Medina, it's up to you guys if you want a motion that we can proceed with this change.
I propose that we accept 27 votes for yes to proceed with this change.
I'll second that. That's Chris Sandor.
Can we have someone second that? That is not a Sandor.
Ah,
I
Sorry.
second.
I will
second.
second that. This is Miss Attwood.
Okay,
So do I, Miss Medina.
thank you.
thank you. And please note, when we ask for a motion or a second, anybody from the PTA can second. It does not have to be just the executive board. Okay, thank you. We'll take that motion. Make sure you, I've saved the chat as well, Ms. Sanders, so make sure we annotate everybody. All right, I'm ending poll. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time. Okay, so we are accepting the new official name so that everything will sync up, minus our IRS and bank statement, to Abraham Lincoln High School Parent Teacher Association. Thank you, everyone. We're going to move on. Does anybody have any questions before I move on? Excellent. Thank you. I want to thank very much to the secretarial team as well as the treasurer team. We spent the entire summer really trying to ease the process with being able to, thank you very much. We try to ease the process as best we can to condense our meetings to under 90 minutes, which I'm not sure if I'm going to make it this time, with 30-minute sessions for questions and answers. Somebody asked the question as whether or not a 2-session will be a norm. Well, I have to say, with the combination of both sessions, we had over 60 participants. So I thank everyone. We will try this again at 3 more sessions to have 3 more times to have double sessions. The next one for a double session will be in December, March, and then June. I'll discuss more at the end when our meetings are, but for right now, we're just testing the waters to see if it's possible. One, to go and try to get more parent participation in our PTA meetings, and also try to incorporate the teachers, because again, the teachers have a say in a lot. And if we're not happy and the teachers aren't happy, we can't succeed as a whole for our students. So we really try to keep the collaboration together. All right, I'm gonna move on, but that's all I have as my PTA president message. Committee reports, finance, sorry, treasurer, can you discuss what committees you have been thinking of?
All right. So we're looking at a fundraising committee. Where traditionally the treasurer's function is to dues and fundraising, dues and budgeting. One of the things that we'd like to do this this year is to really activate more and really expand on our fundraising efforts. Obviously during COVID and the past year and a half, students have been not as present in the building. Parents have not been able to be in the building as much. And so we're now looking forward to for new ideas for fundraising. That means, of course, you, parents. We're always willing and able and ready to talk about new ideas and suggestions. This is the Parent Teacher Association. Parents come, parents and parent ideas are always really important. So,
Hi, this is Mrs. Attwood. I just want to add that we are welcoming people to join us. The executive board is 8 people. We would welcome more. There's a lot of work to be done and a lot of information to share. And if you're interested in joining the executive board, please let us know. It's very welcoming. We'll have elections if people want to join. So, feel free to, stand up and make yourself counted, if virtually. And also, if you don't necessarily feel you have the time to join the executive board, but you'd like to participate in a committee, or there's something that you used to do in your child's school that you would like to continue as you come here, we are open to suggestions, and you can, we would welcome committees, and you can join existing committees or start new ones. So by all means, send us emails at the PTA email address that we shared, and let us know. We are a very welcoming group. I hope that was clear throughout this meeting.
I have to make a clarity on that. The executive board is locked in at 8 people. So the executive board is only open when there is a vacancy, but we have committees galore that we really need assistance in. And also everyone is on the PTA. Every single parent, every single teacher that is part of Abraham Lincoln High School is automatically involved in the PTA. But we need assistance in committees. And of course, if a vacancy does populate, which I know some people, I run a tight ship. So I think some people are trying to jump ship on me, but Ms. Attwood is correct. If anyone has an interest and would like to step up a little bit more, please let us know. And those people who are trying to jump ship on me will then ask to step down, and we will have an election.
Who's trying to jump ship? We are a large, happy family here, Ms. Scott. So may I say, just for the record, that again, that the finance committee is comprised of really cool people, good-looking people as well, very modest.
Oh, geez.
And no, just kidding.
I'm gonna mute him. I'm gonna mute him. Sorry.
But in all seriousness, though, we do appreciate parents who are showing up to the meeting here. We value your input, and we really do want you to participate as well, to make this a better community for not just you, for your children, and for the school community as well. So,
just real, this may actually have to be a Mr. Robinson question, but will need to be discussed with the executive board. Someone is asking whether or not fundraising during the athletic games, specifically the football game tomorrow, can be done. I'm not quite sure what the approval process on that, maybe not tomorrow, but another home game. Mr. Robinson, do you have any details on whether or not that can occur on school grounds, outside, of course? If Mr. Robinson dropped off, maybe Mr. Capizzo can answer?
If I can jump in, actually, that was a question at the security meeting that I attended just a couple of days ago with Mr. O'Connor. And we asked him if we could fundraise at the game tomorrow. And he said there is a rule that does not allow vendors at games this year. So he had to ask whether the PTA, being outside at a table selling snacks or Gatorade, we would be considered a vendor, or whether that was allowed. And he needs to contact someone. He's contacted the DOE, and we haven't heard back from him yet. So At this point, we are not going to be able to sell snack items because we don't have approval for it yet. But we're hoping
will
that.
say-
On Mr. Capizzo, can you go ahead?
I will say that at the next game, I believe, is October 1st. So hopefully we can get a little bit of, guidance, hopefully sooner. So if they can't do the first game tomorrow, maybe there's a chance we could do the second game. But I agree, maybe just follow up with OC and see, any sort of grounds of if it is possible or not. 'Cause I know usually they do snacks there, or food and beverage and stuff, but I think that is supplied by the school. So again, I don't know, if this PTA considered a vendor or not. I think that's just something that has to be looked at.
Yeah, the athletic director from Mr. O'Connor from the meeting said he would have her contact me. So we'll wait, for that. Hopefully, like Mr. Capizzo said, we should have an answer before the next game. So.
Okay, excellent. We're gonna move this along. If nobody has any questions, I'd like to go to the Title I committee report.
Okay, I'm feeling much better now. So I have Mrs. Alston is on the line as well. She's listening in. She's part of the committee. So I think the basic question is, what is Title I? So when I think of Title I, to me, it's more like a school improvement program. Yet the Title I is like the largest federal aid program that provides financial assistance to districts and schools with high numbers or high percentage of children. And there's other informative data that goes along with that. So such as when an example of that is where they help to ensure that all children meet challenging state academic standards. So these funds that's provided are basically to help to meet the educational needs of our students. So an example of that is like when the school asks parents to complete the free and reduced lunch percentage, lunch forms. That's something that goes into play, and that would, along with other, like I said, informative data, it will help the school gain federal aid funds. Federal aid funds, I'm sorry. And with our school, what is a Title I parent committee? Basically, the Title I, from what I understand, the school must set aside 1% of their Title I allocation funds to parent and family engagement activities that that the committee, which would be of parents, guardians of students at the school, and jointly we would agree upon how to use the set aside funds. Abraham Lincoln, I believe we're going to send out a survey or a poll like we just did for the name change to gather input on what topics or workshops that would be of interest to our families, and or for days and time frames that families are available to attend the workshops. How can I say? We are on, I know some families don't speak English, so we are on the other side of the school. The PTA, we're trying to start a parent ambassador team, which would be trying to get a parent volunteer that speaks a different language to assist with us at our PTA, but that's something that we're working on. Just trying to tell you that we're trying to reach every parent from different backgrounds. The Title I funds can be used for non-instructional course like behavior support, attendance programs, community parent engagement, as long as these courses are proven to help improve the student achievement. There are workshops that are successful with translators as well as in English, such as like some workshops we were looking at before, or we can also, we would love for you to give ideas as well as like college preparation. That would be like helping families with the FAFSA, financial literacy. Then there can be academics like the SAT or the Regents. And since the school is offering social and emotional learning, we can also offer wellness, mental health workshops, as a tongue twister, workshops as well. And in most cases, like with each workshop, books can be supplied. But in this case, we probably maybe pamphlets or information packets for the families and the children due to, you know, how we have our conferences, how we have our PTA meetings on Zoom. Well, parent involvement is a crucial factor. So Ms. Alston, if you have anything to add before I just close off on that, if you can chime in, I know you're still commuting.
Hey, I think you were very thorough, so I really can't think of anything else to add right now.
Okay, so thank you. Well, our Title I committee currently is myself and Ms. Alston, and we had a rising star volunteer a little while ago with another parent, but we're gonna see if we can get her. But we're open to any and all parents to join, share ideas, be involved. This is for you, me, because I'm a parent of the school as well, and this is for your child and my child because he's the child there. So it's for the village. Thank you. Anything else you want to add, team?
The only thing I want to say is if some people could take some time to think about whether or not they want to step in as Title I committee. I know Ms. Brown and Ms. Alston have done a great job. Ms. Alston has been running 3 years straight as lead, and Ms. Brown has been doing this for 2 years. They'll stay on as advisors, but we would really like to have some fresh blood. So think about it. We're going to be doing voting next month in October during our next PTA meeting. But if we have some names ahead of time that we can go and put on the election ballot, I'd greatly appreciate it. And Ms. Brown, Ms. Alston is already an idea that has been posted in the chat.
Oh.
Yes, I was going to say, if you read the chat, there are two things. One is like, could swimming lessons? I'm not sure if it's really swimming lessons as a Title I project or as a workshop. And then the second one would be a Saturday or an after-school support classes for children who are at high risk academically.
Ms. Brown, if you could, Ms. Brown and Ms. Alston, if you can annotate those and then do the research and we'll see what can be done.
Okay, hey, Ms. Meadows, no problem.
And
Hi.
also maybe follow up with them as possible Title I committee members, hence.
No problem, great questions, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm Ms. Alston, I'll work with you after that. We can email about it. I'll email you because I know you can't see it right now.
Okay, Ms. Attwood is giving me the dirty look. I know that we're a little bit behind schedule. I apologize. Just bear with us. We only got a few more slides. The next slide, this is very important. This is the Family Healing Ambassador Report. Ms. Medina has taken some volunteering time to do a lot of training over the summer. I appreciate it. She came on as a brand new person onto our PTA team and thought to jump in as the Family Healing Ambassador. Please take lead, explain what it is, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. Once again, thank you everyone for being here today. I just noticed that a couple of the parents donated, so thank you so much for the parents that did that already. I'm new to the PTA, as Ms. Scott said. I'm also in this temporary role of the Family Healing Ambassador. The reason how we got this position was because the school was in a zip code that had a lot of COVID cases, and the DOE wanted to support us that way. The initiative came about and it's focused a lot on mental health, and most of my training was about trauma and healing. So I will be conducting at least one workshop in October. The final topic is to be decided. I'm meeting with Mr. Robinson on Monday to discuss some of these details, the dates, times, and also the topic. We will be sending out a survey as well to find out what you all are interested in learning more about. If there's a topic in the school, we have a lot of new parents. If there's one issue or one concern that you have that resonates a lot, then I will be focusing. That's what my first presentation is going to be about. I'm only required to do one. I'm open to doing at least one more if there's a need. if there's attendance. And to help spread the word, I'm hoping to have the presentation done after our next general meeting, which is on October 21st. So hopefully the following week, we'll be able to do this. Just be on the lookout for that. And I know a lot of the teachers also got some of the training, more in-depth training than what I received from TRAP. We also had, a lot of experts in trauma and healing working with us. And my last training will be next week. So I'm looking forward to this and doing this for the ALHS community.
I see there's a question in the chat. Mr. Gary, if you could just be a little bit more specific for Ms. Medina so she can respond.
Hello, Ms. Medina?
Yes, hi.
Can you read, I'll read the question in the chat since no one came up with more information, and then maybe that person can come on at any time. There's only one question. So do you have a support class or any after school classes for children who have an IEP?
I think that question might be better answered by Mr. Capizzo, but I do know that Ms. Schoenfelder is I believe, the guidance counselor for the students that have an IEP.
I think the question was more
or is this
for
an idea for a
parents.
topic?
I think so. That's why I was asking for more clarity.
Mhm. I think that sounds great. If the
Or
parents.
was it maybe a Title I workshop or a Title I question? I'm not quite sure. But you're right, Mr. Schoenfelder probably is the first point in contact. We should probably post his email address in the chat. He's the guidance counselor for people who have children with IEP, right?
Ms.
Yes.
Schoenfelder.
Yes, Ms. Schoenfelder. I think the info packet that Ms. Sandor dropped earlier should have all of the guidance counselors' contact information. But if you're not sure, definitely email the PTA as well. We can get that information for you. And if this was a topic idea, absolutely. We can, maybe not the first one, but a subsequent workshop, that could be an idea if the parents have an interest.
Okay, thank you so much. If anyone has any more questions about the Family Healing Ambassador, please email Abraham Lincoln High School PTA at gmail.com. I'm going to move on. Thank you so much, Ms. Medina.
Thank you.
Teachers Corner. Mr. Capizzo, I asked you, I sent you some messages earlier. If you could maybe elaborate a little bit more, because I think we missed out on senior information, specifically portraits. So if we can annotate that, because we do have some seniors on this call, or senior parents on this call. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, no problem. All right, hi everybody. My name is Mr. Capizzo. As I mentioned to you earlier, I am a 9th grade algebra teacher at Lincoln, but I have been working exclusively with the PTA for the last 5 years. This year I am known as a Lincoln somebody. This year at Lincoln, Lincoln somebodies are people who, everybody has a somebody at Lincoln. That's our motto. So this year we started to break it down where there's someone who's for the 9th grade, for the students, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. And there's actually going to be Lincoln somebody for PTA. So kind of like a liaison, I guess you could say. So I'm someone to reach out to with any questions or concerns, or a fallback if Mr. Robinson isn't here at this time, I can speak on behalf of the school. So a couple things about what Teachers Corner is Teachers Corner is an opportunity for teachers like myself to give you a heads up on what's going on in the classroom, how's everything going, talking about what's going on at Lincoln, kind of like giving you like a who's know, all that kind of stuff that's going on. First off, from teacher side, we are excited to be back in the school. It has been a very long time since we taught in the building. And when I say in the building, I mean everybody there. So we are feeling it. your children are feeling it. You guys, when the kids say they're tired, we feel it too. Okay, so we're all trying to get back into the swing of things, to say the least. And especially since there's no off days till Columbus Day, we're really going to be pushed to the limit so far. As far as what we are seeing, kids are very respectful, following the mask mandates. We have a couple of hiccups every once in a while, but students, when we tell them, lift up or fix, they do it. That sort of stuff. Of course, we are dealing with the fact that this year, because of the changes with the lunch periods and stuff, we have to be more open to kids eating in the classroom. As myself, I allow it. What can you do? I advise to make sure that, even though you're eating, you are also going to be, also participating still. There is a big thing right now, which is definitely, if there's any questions or concerns, to please reach out to the guidance counselors. Your guidance counselors this year for 9th grade, all 9th grade teachers, that's Miss Landberg. For 10th grade, that is Miss Felser. For 11th grade, that is Miss Severa Watson. For 12th grade, that is Mr. Brian Vega. Then there's also Mr. Chris Vega, who takes care of, he does guidance for certain students as well. And then you have Ms. Schoenfelder, who takes care of all the students with like the IEPs and special programs like that. So I always say, if there's anyone to reach out to first, please get in contact with the guidance counselors. I also advise to email them. Do not call them, because a lot of times in the beginning of the school year, their phone numbers are wrong, because all of them move every year based on wherever the grades are. So email is the preferred, and they'll get back to you like very quickly, especially since they're on the computer pretty much all day. Couple things going on right now, as you know, is the first home game tomorrow for football. For seniors, just to give everyone a heads up, if there's any senior parents on this meeting at this time, there are a couple things. Senior portraits will be coming up soon. I believe senior portraits happen in like November or December, but dues are getting started. Okay, I think the first session for dues is usually in October. Okay, I'm going to try to get the dates from the senior committee just to get some of that and have that available for you guys, and we could possibly post it for the Facebook group. Okay. And then as far as gatherings and stuff, and possibly a dance this year, from my understanding right now, there are no trips planned for the DOE. So no trips are allowed at this time. And I don't know about any sort of gatherings per se. Okay, so senior portraits are next week. Great, perfect. Didn't know that. So, well, website, that's great to know. But as far as dues, please start getting those taken care of. Okay, if there's any sort of, usually what they do throughout the year is you could pay a certain amount as the year goes on, and get that taken care of. Your dues goes towards the trip, goes towards a prom. It also goes towards the yearbook, all that kind of stuff. Checking that question there, all students 9th through 12th take photos. No, only ones who take photos are the 12th graders and staff. So whenever they're a 12th grader, that's when they get the yearbook stuff. Of course, photos are taken at sporting events with any of that stuff. And then any sort of events that go on, they also take pictures. And sometimes your child could be featured, like sometimes when we do the dress up for Halloween, all that kind of stuff. And listen, anything going on at Lincoln, please go to our school website. Our school website has had a complete overhaul, has made such improvements. That is alhs.nyc. That will take care of all of your information about what's going on and tells you the most up-to-date about the calendar. And any questions else that people want to ask, or I don't know, I haven't really checked the chat. Okay, let me just check real quick while I'm here. Okay. Good info packet, thank you. Senior boards next week. Okay. And yeah, Ms. Scott, I don't know, is there anything else I missed? You are muted, FYI. Ms. Sandor, I see your hand raised. Yes.
I just had one, can you mention the ALS Instagram account? Because I found that
Yes.
was an interesting thing to follow for
Yes,
school.
yes. I forgot about that. Students, for all the parents that are in the know with apps, on Instagram, there is a Instagram account run by Carlos Molina. He is our photography head. I believe it is, yep, ALHSBKLYN. Okay, that is a great little update on Instagram, and they give you the most up-to-date stuff. He actually has the stuff about the class of 2022 and how you can get your photos taken. Okay, photography is actually going to happen at the school next week from the 27th to October 1st. You have to fill out your appointment. There is a link, PDF. And then also you can get photographed at Continental Studios in Queens, both locations. But if you do that, you have to, all your photos must be done by October 10th if you do it at that the studio place. So that's from the latest thing with photographs as of today. And that's another great source that can help you guys with if you need any help knowing about what's going on too at Lincoln. ALHS Brooklyn, BKLYN, is always updated very quickly. And anything else?
Not sure if you can answer that, and if not, I'll be sending an email to Mr. Robinson. There's a question in there about gym clothes being purchased.
Robinson.
Okay, I'm already sending an email to him. Thank you.
No problem.
If there's no other questions for Mr. Capizzo, I'm gonna move on before Miss Attwood gives me the dirty looks again.
Actually, there was
She's
one
our
question
timekeeper.
that I think I am the timekeeper, but you know what? I managed to sneak dinner while Mr. Capizzo was talking, so I'm in a much better mood already.
Great.
There's a question from Miss Meadows about your book and fundraiser, and I'm not sure if it's really a good question from Mr. Capizzo, but I figured maybe we should just say it out loud. Will all students 9 to 12 take photos for your book, and can it be a fundraiser for the PTA?
Okay, so yeah, as I think I mentioned it earlier, photos are only for 12th graders. They're only for 12th graders because that's going to be for their yearbook, and the yearbook is for 12th graders. And then fundraising for PTA, absolutely. I don't know when, I don't know how, but let's do it.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
It sounds like Miss Meadows should be on the fundraising committee.
I think so.
She's our ghost speaker, you know that. She's like ghostwriter, right?
Just to answer that other question, yes, with the senior dues, the cap and gown is included. So the photos, they'll be in their cap and gowns. They wear, like, you know, one of the not the actual one, but they'll wear one for it. They take one photograph with the cap and gown, and then one photograph like in I think it's like a suit or a white dress. That's how they always do the photos.
And before anyone starts asking questions about vaccinations for prom and for graduation, that is 8 months down the road. So I would hold those questions just a bit longer until we get a little bit closer, because things could change between now and then.
Good answer.
Okay. Okay, so if there's no further questions, continue putting them in the chat, but I'm going to move on. Just so you know, I put out real quickly, sorry, some additional website links. We've been posting them quite a few times in the chat, but I also wanted you to know that we have them here and also inside the info packet that Ms. Sandor has emailed out. Ms. Sandor and Ms. Medina has emailed out, and they have posted it in the chat. And Mr. Robinson will also be emailing it. Am I correct on that? Okay, Mr. Robinson will also be emailing it out as well. We have the parent engagement school contact tree. For those of you who are on your phone, I know it's being shown very small and I apologize. But again, that is in the info packet. Ms. Sandor, while I'm talking, can you post it one more time, or Ms. Medina? Thank you. Also, if you go into the https://www.schools.nyc.gov, you can look for the New York City DOE school year calendar. This, of course, only is for the DOE school year calendar. This does not list all the events that hopefully Abraham Lincoln will be able to have. That is posted on a separate calendar, which I don't think has been distributed yet. But as soon as they have it, they will forward it to us and we will be able to post it. If anyone has questions, now is the time. I usually hold that for about a session of 30 minutes of Q&A, but I think everyone's questions were answered throughout the meeting, which I don't normally do, but people who had the answers were coming and going, so I apologize. Yes, please, Mr. Capizzo.
What's my question? I know senior are separate in session, but it sounds like grades 9 through 11 do not. No, we don't do school pics for, we only do senior photos. Fortunately, sorry. That's the way we've always done it.
Ms. Medina.
Hi, Ms. Scott. So I think it's worth mentioning, as in the earlier meeting, that we currently do not have a parent coordinator. So any of the parents here, or I think any other families that are trying to reach the school, just have a little patience. Maybe you can elaborate, Mr. Capizzo or Ms. Scott. I know you attended other meetings. Obviously, they're looking for a replacement. So in the meantime, any questions that you have, obviously you can email us. We'll try our best to field it, and just have a little patience, I guess.
Definitely try to go to your child's guidance counselor. I can say for myself, my son's guidance counselor, Ms. Schoenfeld, she's so patient with me. She's amazing. And I've heard from other parents that their guidance counselors, if you email them, and I'll post this again, if you email them directly, they will respond, I would say within 12 to 24 hours. They're pretty good on responding because, like Mr. Capizzo says, they live off their computers. And if for some reason you're not getting a response from them, which is very rare unless they're on vacation, you also have Mr. Robinson. And worst case scenario, you can always email us. But if anybody has been trying to email Miss Muhammad, unfortunately, she is no longer with the school. So please I apologize, email the school counselor, the guidance counselors, or Mr. Robinson, or worst case scenario, definitely email us and we will get a response immediately. There is a question in chat for MetroCard.
Yes, so MetroCards, I believe MetroCards, what they would do is they would go to the dean's office and they can request a MetroCard. That would be the best way that they can do that.
What room number is that, Mr. Capizzo?
That is room 101.
All right, so any student who does not have their MetroCard yet, they can go to room 101 during the school day and get a MetroCard.
Correct.
Are there any questions, anything, even if it's like really an issue that you have with the school, with your child, with schedule, anything that we did not talk about, or we did not provide an answer, this is the time.
I have a question. I mean, I know you mentioned that they do not do photos from 9 through 11, but I have asked if that was something that we could do as a fundraiser, because I know my child is in the 10th grade and I love seeing how they, grow from year to year. And I've always bought the portraits and everything. So I think you may have parents that are in the same situation as me that would like to purchase pictures, and that is a PTA fundraiser, you know, where the school can make money if parents will buy portraits.
I think that's a wonderful idea, and especially because we have such a strong and unique photography program with Mr. Molina that it might be something that we should pursue. And I know that you're now going to be pressed in the fundraising committee, so I welcome you. Let me be the first person to welcome you. It's a wonderful idea, and I think we should definitely look into it as a fundraiser. I think it's really a great idea, and I'm with you. It's kind of wonderful to see how they grow from year to year in high school. It's just like 1 year to the next. Things change so much. So I think you're right. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. And it's experience for the students, just in photography, you know, like a project or whatever that they do.
Absolutely. We should definitely contact Mr. Molina and see if that's something that could be incorporated in the program.
Well, the PTA will go through their somebody who will assist us on talking to Mr. Robinson. Yes, Mr. Somebody, I'm talking to you, Mr. Capizzo. So we will actually, that is a really good idea. So we'll come up with something. We'll see what we can do. No promises, but I really like that idea.
Okay.
Listen, parents, I want to just say, so funny that Ms. Meadows said that, is because I looked at my son's 9th grade photo ID. I was like, who was this kid? Because it doesn't look like him at all right now.
Exactly.
Yeah. My son had his ID taken away on the first day because it wasn't him. Any more questions or stories? Go ahead.
I didn't say it in the last meeting and we had it fixed. On the AOHS website, if a student can't get onto Pupil Path, you can actually look up the child's name on Pupil Path, on the directory for Pupil Path. It's the first initial of the first name, first initial of the last name, last over the OSIS. You can get their student code, and you can get the code for the parent. So then you can be able to check in on their work as well. So you can get any updates as well. So if you need it, it's on the AOHS direct in the on the directory there. You can actually find the student's name, and then you'll be able to get the code. If you still have difficulty, you can't get it, email a guidance counselor. They'll be more than happy to give you the code. Or a teacher. Teacher can also do it for them in the class.
Okay. Oh, another one. Go ahead, Ms. Attwood.
Yes, so there's one more question. I have not heard anti-bullying mentioned. Is there any support group for students, especially for the new ones who feel unsafe?
So from my understanding, one of the things that we are doing right now is we are doing a lot of the community building in the beginning. But for the anti-bullying stuff, one of the things that we are doing is in a lot of our crew, we've been focusing on that. And then in some of the guidance counselor stuff, we have that program built in place with them to have those conversations. And if it is something that gets serious, that's where we bring in, we do a lot of mediation where we actually do like a circle around it. And our school has done a really good job recently. Actually, our chancellor, Misha Porter, was supposed to come see all of the social emotional stuff we're doing. She decided not to show up because she had a meeting on live air with de Blasio this past Wednesday. So, you know, she wasn't there for that, but she's penciled in to come see us sometime in October. So if she does come and show up, it would be great. So since she could see all the stuff, hopefully we don't have to do an anti-bullying session. But, you know, we have a lot of protocols in place if there's any issues that do arise at Lincoln.
And I can tell you, Mr. O'Connor, he runs a tight ship when it comes to security.
Yeah.
The hallways literally open up in waves if they even hear him walking around the corner. So if there is no further questions, going once, going twice, then I will have to say good night. Oh, yes,
I've
Mr.
one
Sander?
question. I want to know how the parents are so awesome. We did receive a contribution or two this evening from members here. So I think I know the answer. Yes, you guys are awesome. So thank you for the members, for the visitors here who contributed to the PTA this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. And we'll be actually coming up with ideas in October as to where we plan to go forward with spending some of that, I believe. We had a couple ideas, but because of protocols with the school, we had to hold back. Hopefully come October, things will calm down and we'll be able to start moving forward with those ideas. If there's no further questions, everyone, thank you so much. For those who did both sessions, thank you very much. I hope we answered all your questions and concerns, and please email us, email the guidance counselors, email Mr. Robinson. Everyone have a great night. Executive board team, if you could just hold back for just 5 minutes. Mr. Capizzo, I'll get with you in the morning. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Good
And
night,
yes,
good night.
our next
Thank
meeting will
you.
be October 21st at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.